Hey everyone, welcome to So Delicious Pizza. You join me in my little prep room at home, and basically we are going to make a batch of pizza dough today by hand. This is not like a commercial recipe or anything like that. This is just, you're at home, you want to make some pizza for your family or your friends, you haven't got an industrial dough mixer like we've got down here, and you're basically just making dough by hand. And this is basically what we want to do. We just want to make sure that you know exactly what you're doing, how to do it, and what you need. So, what do you need? Of course, you are going to need a dough tray. These are fantastic. This is actually from a company called Solent Plastics. You can find them on Amazon and eBay, and obviously directly from their website as well. But these are amazing for home use. These fit in your fridge if you do want to do a cold ferment, which is not what we're going to be doing today. Everything that we're going to do today is going to be via room temperature fermentation. But these trays are amazing. They take 6 full-size dough balls at about 270, 280 gram dough balls. And obviously they come with the lid as well, which is quite essential. So you are going to need a dough tray. You are going to need 620 millilitres of cold fridge temp water. You are obviously going to need your flour. Now for this recipe, we're going to be working off of 1 kilo of flour. You can get kilo bags of flour. Obviously we've got a bag here. This is a 10 kilo bag. This is not actually the flour that I normally use for business wise, but I had an old bag of this laying around. This bag's actually for a friend I work with. But yeah, I had an old bag of the same flour, so I thought it would be great for me to do it with this, get rid of some leftover stuff. This is the Dalla Giovanna Neapolitana 2.0. It's actually a really lovely flour to work with. It's a type 0 flour, so it's not 00. But it is still a fantastic flour. It's got a strength rating of W340, so it's a nice strong flour. Enables you to go for that full 24-hour room temp fermentation with no worries whatsoever. So you're going to need a high quality flour. Please, for the love of God, don't buy like Asda's own pizza flour. I've seen the carnage. So you're going to need 1 kilo of that flour. You will need 30 grams of salt. Now this is just regular sea salt that has been milled down to a fine sort of a fine grain of sea salt basically, but you're going to need 30 grams of that. You will need yeast. Now this is where it kind of gets a little bit optional. You can of course use the best stuff in the world. This is fresh yeast, and this is actually what we're going to use in today's video. Fresh yeast is fantastic. You know when it's good, you know when it's bad, before you've even really used it, just by the texture of the yeast. But obviously it's not that accessible to everybody. If you haven't obviously got a wholesale account with an Italian food wholesale supplier like we do, you can get fresh yeast from an online company called Rattan Pantry. Luckily, Rattan Pantry are very local to me, and they're actually an amazing group of guys. So if you are after using fresh yeast, maybe for the first time, Rattan Pantry do this. It's £5. It's a kilo block. Today, it's 18.5 degrees in our prep room, so that's the temperature that we're going to go with. And for our recipe today, we are going to need 1 gram, 1 single gram of fresh yeast. Now this is a 1 kilo block, so you know you're going to get a lot of pizza out of this. The only downside is this has a shelf life of around 2 weeks, so a lot of this unfortunately does end up going in the bin, but it's cheap. Dough is not an expensive part of running a pizza business or just making pizza in general. Dough is generally the cheapest part to make. So 1 gram of fresh yeast is what you will need. However, if you do want to use good old-fashioned instant dry yeast, no problem whatsoever. You can do that. I would strongly advise testing it in a little bit of water, with maybe a dribble of sugar in there as well, just to activate it, just to make sure that your yeast is good. I see so many times where people just go ahead and they'll make a massive batch of pizza dough, and their yeast is absolutely dead as a dodo. It's been in the cupboard for 2 years, not in an air sealed container. I don't really use instant dry yeast anymore. This is left over from like when I was theoretically just a home pizza chef, but it can give you really good results. So if you're going to use instant dry yeast, you need a third of what you would normally use with fresh yeast. So you need more fresh yeast than you would instant. This is a lot stronger than the fresh yeast. So with this, you want to be going at about 0.35 of a gram for instant yeast. And to measure out our yeast and our salt, you are going to need some scales. Now these are just digital jewelry scales or drug dealer scales, whatever you want to call them. Basically what people measure like 1,000th of a gram. So this goes down to like 0.0001 of a gram. They're really accurate, and they're really cool. They're about a tenner on Amazon. They're not expensive, yeah, they're a really essential part of making pizza, because without actually measuring out stuff to the exact gram, you're never really going to get your recipe correct. Okay, so you'll need one of those. I've got another set of scales here, and I literally use these at the end of the process and to measure out my water. So I get my jug, and obviously I get 620 millilitres of water into here, and then this goes into the fridge. And then we use this at the end when we ball the dough up. So we'll actually ball up 270 to 275 gram dough balls, and we'll pop them on here just to make sure that they're the right weight before we pop them into the tray. And last but not least, if you are going to go down the route of making pizza, we personally here, you'll see so many recipes online that will call for like kneading your dough for 5 minutes, letting it rest, kneading your dough for 10 minutes, letting it rest. You're never really going to know when that dough is actually ready by doing that. Now, typically, we mix our dough to a temperature of 23 to 24 degrees. And that's in Celsius because we're in the UK and we use that system. So you will need, this is basically a thermal pen. It's not a Thermapen. That is a brand. This is a alternative brand. It does the same job, but it's a temperature probe. You can use them for cooking. These ones are really cool because I think this has got an accuracy of like 0.1 of a degree. It's like super accurate. It came with like a calibration certificate and everything like that. And basically we knead our dough until we reach a temperature of 23 or between 23 and 24 degrees Celsius. And that is basically where yeast likes to start to activate. And that's really important because if you over knead your dough and you go past that temperature, your yeast in your dough is going to start going absolutely crazy. It's going to ferment too quickly, and the yeast is basically just going to exhaust itself and it's going to pancake everything out. On the other flip side, if you don't mix it enough and your dough doesn't get to that magical temperature where yeast is really happy and it likes to like activate and come alive, it's just not going to puff up. You're not going to get that beautiful rise on your bulk fermentation or anything like that. So it's really important that you mix to temperature and not to time. So let's get cracking. I've got 1 kilo of flour pre-measured out here before I switch the cameras on. So we've got our flour, and basically what we want to do, we want to start off by measuring our yeast and getting our water in. We're going to mix everything in this tray, okay? Absolutely everything. So I'm going to bring you over here and we're going to get cracking, okay? Cool. Let me bring you up. I don't really want to make too many edits on this. I'm going to prop you up in my dough machine, and that should hopefully enable you to see this. So we need 1 gram of fresh yeast. So we're going to get our scales out. Let me just move that over here for now. We're going to grab our scales. We're just going to switch those on, and we are just going to unravel our fresh yeast that's actually just been literally been delivered about 45 minutes ago, ready for our market at the weekend. So for those of you that have never seen yeast before in its fresh form, that is fresh yeast. So it's just a big block of yeast. It smells like beer. It's phenomenal. And we literally need 1 single gram of yeast. So I'm just going to pop a little bit off of the side, and I reckon that's going to, even that is going to be too much. Let's just weigh that, and that's 1.5 grams. So let's just pop that back over there. Pop that there, 0.88. So we need a little bit more than that. There you go, spot on. So that is 1 gram of fresh yeast, and it's literally that much. Such a tiny amount, but that is all you need. We are going to pop that in the tray. We do not need these scales anymore because I've already pre-measured out our salt there as well. Okay, so what I am going to do, just really quickly, because this is temperature sensitive, I'm just going to go. I'm not going to edit it because my fridge is in the room next door. I'm just going to go and chuck this back in the fridge. Wonderful. Okay, right. Rock and roll. Okay, so we've got our 1 gram of fresh yeast in our tray. We're going to mix everything in here. We need our water. Now, you do not want to plunge all of your water into the bowl straight away, okay? You need about, I would say, 80% of your water in the tray at the very start, okay? I have got a little dribble of ice in here, so I'm holding back probably like 150 mil, maybe a little bit more. Let me chuck a little bit more in there. That'll do. That's cool. So we've literally got just like that little tiny bit just in there still. And you'll see why in a moment. Now, your salt. You do not put your salt in at the very start, okay? Salt will destroy your yeast at the start, and that is not good. We want that yeast to come alive. We don't want it to die straight away. Okay, so just give that yeast a little mix around in that water, and you will see it completely and utterly disappear. Your water is going to go a little bit cloudy. That is absolutely fine. That is to be expected. So that's great. We've done that. I'm going to move that instant yeast up there just for now. So now it comes to the fun part. We've got our flour. This is 1 kilo of Dalla Giovanna Neapolitana 2.0, and we are going to put all of it in this tray straight away, okay? So we don't fanny around with the flour. All of that flour goes in straight away, every last little drop, and we'll set that aside. Let's just pop the lid back on there so it doesn't go everywhere. That's cool, and this is basically it. Right now, all we need to do is just get a hand and basically just start mixing that around. This is the fun part, guys, okay? So we're going to start just bringing that water and flour together. I'm not going to edit this at all as much as I can unless my kids wake up from their nap, which may well happen. We took the sides off of our daughter's bed this week, and it's been emotional. Not so much for me. My partner is a saviour in terms of dealing with that, but yeah, bless her, she's doing well. But yes, she's just gone down for a nap. She was asleep when I started the video, so hopefully, I'm looking at her now on the other camera, she's still asleep. We're all good. So what we're doing is basically just bringing this all together, and this is why we don't put all of that water in straight away, okay? Because we are going to get little bits that get stuck in corners of this tray, and we want to basically have a little bit of hydration here to get those little gnarly bits out of the corners, and you need a little dribble of water sometimes to do that. So right now we're not actually sort of focusing on making a dough at all or anything like that. We're just bringing that flour together. And hopefully if I bring that over there, you should start to be able to see that this is starting to sort of clump together now. And this is exactly what we're looking for. So we want to do this for just a little bit of time, just so we kind of try and get most of the flour incorporated without adding any more water right now. But we have got that water on hand in a moment. And you definitely need to reserve some of that water for when we add the salt in a little bit of time, okay? Because we don't want to add the salt just yet. We're just incorporating that water and flour and yeast at the moment. All right. This is where it becomes a bit of a workout, and I remind myself every single time I do dough by hand why why I spent nearly £1,000 on a dough mixing machine, because God, man, you'll see in a moment this becomes quite a workout, especially when you are getting it up to temperature. So yeah, make sure you are fit and healthy before you start mixing. Okay, so I think we've now pretty much got a really rough, shaggy dough here, and we need a dribble more water. So we're just going to come here and basically just add in really tiny amounts of water here. We need to reserve the rest of that for when our salt comes in. Okay, so we're just going to bring that flour and extra water together, and this is where you're going to start to see that our dough is going to start to form. Okay, we've only probably got maybe like 40 to 50 millilitres of water left here, and that is exactly where we need to be right now. So we'll just bring the rest of this dough together, just gently just bringing that together. Well, I say gently, it's not a gentle process, this. You really do need to work at it. But yes, so doing this by hand, it really is a bit of a workout sometimes, but it's kind of fun. I do miss doing this by hand, and it is nice to kind of go back to your roots a little bit, and because no one starts off with a massive industrial mixer or even something like a KitchenAid or something like. No one really starts off with that, and it is nice to kind of come back to making stuff by hand, because, you know, hundreds of years ago when Neapolitan pizza and stuff was born, you know, did they have mixers? No. Did they? Heck, everything was done by hand. And if you can see now, look at this tray, we are getting there. So all of that is starting to come together, and we've actually now got a big dough ball. It's not sloppy, it's not sticky. We are literally just chilling, you know, and we've got a dough ball here. So I reckon now we're here. I'm just going to bring that a little bit off on the side. What we want to do now is we want to plop that in the middle right there. Get your fist in there and literally just create a little pocket there, and we are going to get our salt and just sprinkle it over. Okay, all in. You don't need to go, yeah, I'm being a bit gentle with it here, but literally just get that all in there. Get that there. That's cool. And this is where the dough's really going to start to come together now, because the salt, basically, it starts to just bring everything together. It's going to start forming that gluten, and this is why we needed that extra little bit of water to help dissolve this salt. Okay, so we're going to just gently, I keep saying gently, what am I doing? We're just going to bring that water over the dough, and that's it. That is it. All of the water is gone. So you're going to now see that this salt and water, flour, yeast, everything like that, this is where we're going to start really forming our pizza dough. I have just squirted a bit of water out there, so never mind. That's fine. Only a little bit. That's cool. It's not going to make any difference to the end result. This is fine. So this is where it kind of becomes a little bit sloppy at the start. This is just where we're adding in that extra bit of water, but in time you are going to see all of this water that is currently going through our dough disappear. It's going to get absorbed by this fantastic flour, and as I said at the start of the video, this is not the flour that I normally use for like when I'm doing markets or catering or anything like that. It's not the recipe that I normally use. But for home use, this flour is literally like one of the best to use. It's a really strong flour. You don't really need to pay too much attention to it once you've formed it. It's a strong flour. You can push it past 24 hours of room temperature fermentation if you really wanted to. Obviously you've got to go careful with your room temperature, just to make sure that it's not too hot. But like I said, we started and it was 18.5 degrees. It's now 19 degrees, but as you can see, I am in a small, tiny room here. And again, you don't need a lot of space to make pizza. You really don't. This room that I'm in is tiny. It's like maybe like 2 meters by I think it's like 1.3 meters by 2 meters long. So yeah, it's not too much in terms of space. So you'll see now, if you look here, our flour is just starting to incorporate all of that other stuff. All of that water now is nearly picked up from the tray, which is great. We're just kneading that out as much as we can. Now this dough is still really cold. It's not very warm in the UK right now. Obviously it's 19 degrees in this room. Again, even that, it's not overly warm, is it? So this does take a little bit of time just to get to that magical temperature that we spoke about at the start of the video. So you'll notice now, look, we've got a ball of dough. Now this is obviously, it looks really wet. And a lot of people, if you had followed a recipe and it said mix for 5 minutes, well, we've been going for about 5 minutes there. Is that ready? No, it looks disgusting. It's nowhere near ready yet. You're gonna have to keep going. So a lot of people, when they follow these recipes that are just by time, and they may not necessarily have like an in-depth knowledge of like how pizza really works, you know, and they'll stop here and go, yeah, cool, follow the recipe to the T. No, you didn't. Well, you did, but your recipe was garbage. And this one isn't. This one is not garbage at all. It just takes a little bit of time and work to get this together. But you will see in time that this dough starts to come really come together. You can already tell just in the last minute or so of what I've done there. I can feel it in my hands. You can feel the texture of the dough starting to change. Yeah, it starts to unstick from your hands, and also it starts to unstick from the sides of the tray and the bottom of the tray. You start to get a really nice clean tray, which is obviously a benefit because no one, especially men, we don't really like the washing up, do we, guys? But yeah, this is it. I'm literally just kneading back and forth, making that dough as smooth as we can. Now, let's just give that a really quick temperature check. So we'll get a Thermopen or Thermo. What brand is this? Thermo Maven. There you go. So the room is at 18 degrees and our dough is at 16.4 degrees or 16.3. So we've got a little way to go. Again, if you had followed a recipe to say, oh yeah, cool, knead for 5 minutes. Again, my yeast hasn't even started to activate in this dough yet. It's far too cold. 16 degrees is no temperature at all for dough to start working. So we need to make sure that we get that pizza dough up to that magical temperature. Whew. You will be surprised though how quickly this does come together just by doing this small motion back and forth, back and forth, getting that gluten activated in your dough. And you'll feel it, as I said, you'll feel it. You can already tell, look, that's coming together now. Just starting to hydrate that dough properly. The water's being thoroughly combined. It's being absorbed by this flour. And we're getting there. It's just time. And it's nice, as I said. It's just a bit of a workout. Of course, when it comes down to like really cold temperatures in the UK in the winter, you do not need fridge temperature water. Okay, definitely do not need fridge temperature water when it's like 5 degrees outside. The water in your taps at that temperature will be cold enough. 110% will be cold enough for that. So this is starting to feel really nice now. And as I said, you will be really surprised at how quickly the temperature starts to rise up on this dough. It can take, 10, 15 minutes of solid work doing this, and you can, believe it or not, you can get a bit of a sweat on doing it, and there's no bad thing. As I said, it is a little bit of a workout here, but this is starting to feel really good now. So again, we'll just check that temperature. I just want to show you how quickly that comes up. So that's gone up by a degree already. We were at 16.3, I think, and that's now 17.6. So we are definitely getting there. And as I said, you will feel and see the dough change before you. This is the boring part of the video. I'm sorry guys, I'm probably absolutely blabbering on. But I've kind of explained everything now. There's not a great deal to explain apart from knead it until you get to 23.5 degrees. God, I miss my mixer. As I said, you can do this in a KitchenAid. You can do this in a KitchenAid. You can do it in a normal spiral mixer you've got in your kitchen maybe. You don't have to have a big old mixer like I've got my Insta360 resting in right now to act as a tripod, but it's fun. I like doing it by hand, it's nice. Even so much, it's just a reminder of why you bought a mixer. Yeah, this dough is smoothing out right now. That's cool. Perfect. Okay, where are we now? So we're at 18.2, still going up. This is good. So probably, especially the temperature today, probably didn't need as cold a water as I had. But it's cool. It's not a problem. So that dough is really starting to smoothen out now. It's properly hydrated. Starting to feel really nice. It's no longer really clumping to my hands at all. I'm just gonna bring that all off. This is good. And you'll see now the size of this tray. It's not sticking to the tray anymore. Oops, it's not sticking to the tray anymore. So we're getting a really, really nice dough made here. Again, a lot of times now, if you've got to this point of the dough, a lot of people would leave this now, but that yeast again has still not got to that happy zone. And trust me, it's so worth it. It is so worth getting to that temperature and allowing your yeast to come into its happy place. Yeah, sounds like Happy Gilmore, doesn't it? You got to go to your happy place. What a great film. Has anyone seen that the second one yet? It's so good. Me and Maisie watched it the other week. And oh man, it brought back some memories. Happy Gilmore came out when I was very, very, very young. It's surprising actually, like how bloody long ago stuff like that actually came out. It's wild. But all good fun. Shoot 'em a Gavin. Oh mate, I'm gonna have to watch it this evening now again. But yes, so this dough is going to be sitting for 24 hours, okay? This is a full 1 day process, okay? So this is a 24-hour fermented dough, all at room temperature. So obviously this room is, sorry, I knocked that off, didn't I? It's dropped down 18 degrees because it's dropped down a bit. But yeah, so this is gonna stay in this room at a stable temperature of 18.5 degrees. It's pretty much what this room stays at all the time. And then basically we're gonna bulk ferment it for 1 hour. It's only 1 hour. And bulk ferment basically means you get your big clump of dough, yeah? You get your big dough ball. You form one big ball and you just leave it. And it basically just ferments there for an hour. It's a classic Neapolitan. Okay, so 1 hour of fermentation, of bulk fermentation. It's classic Neapolitan. And then we are going to ball it up using our scales into 275 gram dough balls. And that is going to make you an outstanding 12-inch pizza. Nice and malleable, big enough to stretch. That's cool. Right, where are we now? That's cool. So we're at 19.5 degrees, so we're still going. I may end up cutting this video a little bit short, just so I don't end up sweating on the camera and chatting absolute shit for the next 5 minutes or so while I do this. So that's cool. I'm not going to change anything. I'm just going to cut this and I'm going to come back when we're at 23 degrees. Okay, right. So we are back rocking and rolling. We've been going for another 5 minutes or so, just maybe 6 or 7. But I think we are pretty much there. So we just grab our thermopen. 22.5 degrees. Oh, come on, man. We're so close. It's always that last half a degree that takes the longest amount of time to do. Always. So last little bit here. Just bringing that dough into its final form here. And you'll see just how beautiful this dough is now. Right, okay, that'll do, that'll do, that'll do. No, it won't. 22.8. Come on, Liam. We're so close now. So close. Let's just bring this together. One last little push. One little bit of effort. Perfect. I reckon that'll do. There you go. 23 degrees. Hurrah! We are at that magical 23.1. So what we want to do now is we want to grab this dough, okay, and we want to form one big ball with that dough, okay? So it's going to feel a bit sticky, that's normal, don't worry, but basically you just want to form one big ball. Look at that, look at the strength of that already. This is cool. Wicked. Have a look at that. So that is not finalised just yet. We need to now leave this dough in this stage. This gives you a chance to go and wash your hands. But we need to leave this dough covered for 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, we're going to come back. That dough is going to have relaxed. The gluten's going to start to just build. And we're going to reball it. You will notice this is nice and strong. Give it 10 minutes. Trust me. We'll come back. We'll reball it. And that's when our bulk fermentation's going to start. Okay? Cool. So we'll grab our lid. Hurrah! Pop that on. And let's go wash our hands. Okay, right. So we've cleaned our hands now. I've had a little bit of a general sort of tidy up in here. But our dough has been resting for about 10-12 minutes now. So we're going to pop that lid off and you'll notice it's started to smoothen out. This is great. It looks like a big old pancake. So what we're going to do now is we're literally just going to do a couple of stretch and folds and we are going to make this into one big ball. This is a really quick process. It's going to take like a minute, if that, and then we'll just go from there. So you'll be able to see as well now, look, I can slap it and there's nothing on my hands at all. Well, barely anything. All right, so we are going to bring this dough out of this tray. Well, we're not even going to do it out of the tray. Just going to loosen it up off of the bottom. That's cool. And this is where we are going to fold that dough in on itself. Okay, so this is where, still using that tray, saving on the washing up, we're just forming that one dough ball. And now look, oh mate, it's literally, it never fails to impress me when we do this. Like even when I'm using the big mixer, when you pull it out of that mixer, give it a couple of minutes and then just make that one big ball. This dough is done. Look at that. Super strong. Look how much that dough's bouncing back. And that is just one big dough ball now. Super strong, not sticky at all. Look, you can rub your hand all over it. Super smooth, super soft. That's where we need to be. 62% hydration dough this, so it's nothing crazy. Look at that. And you can literally run your hand over it. Lovely. So, back into that tray. You could ball up now if you really wanted to, but I would strongly suggest not. You need to give that about an hour now to chill. But that, oh mate, it's so nice. Absolutely my favourite part of making pizza is this bulk fermentation ball. It's funny, isn't it? Little things that you all prefer. But that is done. That is 110% done. Dough is sorted. Look at that. Beautiful, super strong. Let's get that lid back on. That's it. You've made pizza dough. So in an hour, you want to come in and we're going to cut that up, measure it out, 270 to 275 gram dough balls. Ball them up. Done. Okay team, right, so we have left it an hour now. An hour's gone by and we've come back to the prep room, and this has basically now been in its bulk fermentation for 1 hour. We have a spatula which we're going to use to cut the dough, but let's take the lid off of our tray and look at that. Beautiful, still super silky smooth, absolutely lovely, doubled in size. It's exactly what we're looking for. So we are going to pop this out now. Let me just pop that there. We're going to get this dough. Oh man, it's so strong. It's so strong. I can feel it already, just how strong this dough is. Beautiful. And we're going to create that little big sausage there. And effectively what we're going to do now, we are going to transform this into 6 dough balls. So what I like to do is I like to just cut it in half, or roughly cut it in half, and we're going to get our scales that we talked about right at the start. So we're going to switch those on, and we're looking for 270 to 275 grams per ball. Okay, so we are literally just going to grab that dough, portion it off around there. 292, so that's not too bad for a first go. 283. Just going to bring that down. 275. There we go. So we've now got our ball of dough here, and we literally just need to shape this into a ball now. And what we like to do is just bring it in on itself and just stretch and fold. You'll notice that these are super smooth, super strong dough balls. Look at that. Beautiful. Nice and smooth all the way across the surface. Pop that there. Okay, so we're gonna bash that out, bash it out, eh? Get in there. Let's flipping it, man. Let's measure these out. Look at that, 274 grams. That's perfect. And again, just in real time, just nice and quickly forming that dough ball there. Beautiful, nice and strong. Once again, creating that surface tension on the top of the dough ball there, just tucking itself in on itself at the bottom. And that's great. So this is probably going to be a little bit under that one. Yeah, that's only coming in at 192 grams. So we need to nip a little bit off of there, obviously, and then that's cool. But this dough feels beautiful, man. Feels really nice. 272 grams. Let's grab a little bit more there. 275. There we go. Let's try and keep all of these the same. Again, just bringing that up together. That's cool. So what I like to do is I like to ball up and just give the dough just a minute to relax, and then I basically just reshape them as I put them in to the tray. But yeah, it's not a difficult process. This it really isn't. Let me just make 3 dough balls just really quickly here. Probably going to need a slightly smaller, bigger one here. Let me just take some off of that one. That's cool. So we're just bringing this up 275 grams. That's cool. Perfect. That's great. Okay. But you'll notice 62% hydration dough this, and it is super strong, super malleable. It's not sticking to my hands when I'm doing this either. It's super nice to work with, and the surface tension on that dough ball, again, absolutely perfect. So let's just go ahead and weigh this. 268 grams there. 271, so this one should be pretty much spot on. Yep, that's great. That's cool. Okay, cool. So we are just bringing that in. This is just a loose clump of dough, and we are literally just bringing that dough in on itself and creating that beautiful structure there. Lovely stuff. And last but not least, let's just get this last one done. Perfect. Okay. And there we go. We have 6 dough balls ready to rock and roll. So we're going to grab our tray now. We can move those scales out of the way. And we're going to work in reverse now. So the first one that we did, just going to bring that in, just give that a little bit of tension back on there, bringing that in. Beautiful. Get that in the corner, living the dream. And we're just going to work our way around. And that's it. We have made 6 perfect dough balls at a perfect hydration for classic Neapolitan-style pizza. 62% hydration. Super strong surface tension on the dough balls here as well, which is exactly what we're after. And again, just going to ball them up, making sure these are absolutely perfect. Again, great stuff. Magic. Get that one there. And our last dough ball is going in. All good. There we go. See you in 24 hours. But that is it, guys. We've now got 6 beautifully formed dough balls there. Lovely surface tension over all of them, and we are literally going to grab our tray, put the lid on, and that's it. Job done. Come back in 23 hours time and that pizza will be absolutely perfect and ready for you to make a beautiful Neapolitan pizza. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that's all been helpful. There's links for scales, trays, spatulas, everything in the description. So please, please, please have a look. If you buy anything, that's cool. If you don't, that's cool. You've probably got all this stuff at home already anyway. Anyway, enjoy. Let us know how you get on. See you soon.